now listening to Kendra After Dark.
Welcome back to Kendra After Dark. Just want to thank you so much for tuning in this week with us. Today I have my guest host, Jasmine, who is the founder and creator of the Pink Kush Network. How are you doing?
I'm good. I'm so excited to be here. This was a pretty spontaneous thing, but
yes, it was.
We made it work.
I know, I was pretty excited because when you hit me up and you were like, I'm going to be in Tucson tomorrow. I was
you were literally like, when are you coming? And then I was like, hey, I'm on my way.
And I was like, okay,
Worked out well.
Let me figure it out.
Thanks for making time for this. I'm excited.
Yeah, no, I agree. Thank you. Thank you for coming.
Absolutely.
I am definitely excited to talk about everything.
Everything, I know. Everything. I had fun just like catching up and chatting when we got here. We weren't even starting. I was like, we need to be recording. This is good shit.
I'm definitely excited. Like I said, I'd want to talk everything about the Pink Kush Network.
Yes.
I did go to the dispensary today. I went out to the Bloom dispensary and they gave me some bud for us to try, which was really awesome. Kandy Kush on Fire is what it's called. But it's funny because I was telling you, I was like, I picked this weed because on the board it was written in pink.
Yes.
And I was like,
it's pinkish.
Yes, it's
pinkish weed.
Very nice. So I rolled this up and I want to see how it is. It's really crystally, which is nice. I kind of picked it based off, well, like I said, the name, but then also the smell is really good.
I like the frosty. I always look for how frosty it is.
Yeah, I think that's really
important. That's more important to me than, like, people are like, you know, the orange and the hairs, and I'm like, no. I like
the
Have
orange...
you tried Grow Sciences? Because, shit, that is the frostiest weed I've ever seen, and it comes in glass jars, so you see all the frost.
Oh, I'll have to check it out. Yeah, so this does have a lot of orange hair, but I'm the same with you. Orange hair is not a huge
I know, I'm
deal.
like, that's not my seller. It's and the smell is a big part. I don't like, you know what I'm talking about when I say spicy weed? There's weed that has a spicy feel when you smoke it, and I don't like it. I think it's a lot of sativas.
It's so funny because for me, we even tried one for me, and I call it wormy. I guess that's the earthy flavor that people talk about.
Is this a terpene? I'm still learning about this stuff. This is new to me. But I know terpenes is like the flavor and the smell of your weed.
Yeah, so it must be. Because the thing is we had one that we tried, and we smelt it, and I was like, wow, this smells like worms. And she goes, what do you mean? I was like, you know. Like,
it smells like no, I know exactly what you mean.
Fresh dirt.
I've described weed as exactly that earthy and like kind of dirt. Yeah.
This does not smell like that at all.
Oh, I haven't smelled it.
So it's more...
Oh, wait, no, I did. Remember earlier I was like, it smells like candy, and you were like, it's
which
Candy
is good. But so this, I don't think it'll have that wormy taste.
And you have like a sweet blunt wrap, right?
Yes. Swisher. We're smoking Swishers, and it's the sweet cream one, which I like a lot right now. I also really like the cocoa blue Swisher. Those are kind of my go-tos right now.
Do you like a lot of like the fruity weeds, like, or I always steer away from those if it's like blueberry or any like sweet. I don't like those.
I do.
Prefer the actual weed tasting one, that like that hemp earthy taste.
You know, I'll be honest.
The fake like berries.
My first thing I go for is definitely a name. If I like the name of the weed, I will probably buy it.
I'm that way, and I always feel super shitty about it because people say Northern Lights, and I'm like, yes, but if it has like a, you know, berry in it or something, I'm like, no good. I don't like strawberry cough because it has strawberry in it.
Really?
Yeah.
So I like strawberry cough. I thought it tastes pretty good.
Sativa, right?
I think so.
Okay, I
think it
harder
is,
time
I get
with
a lot
sativas. And I recently tried one called Headspace that gave me a lot of anxiety, and I was like, okay, you know what?
Yeah, and everybody reacts differently, I've noticed too. I talked to somebody just recently too that was like, I used to smoke a lot, and then one time I smoked and I had a really bad anxiety attack, and she goes, so now I don't anymore. And I was like, wow.
I know a lot of people who will not, oh, I'm so sorry.
Oh, you're good.
Who will not smoke sativas because of their anxiety, so I tried to do it if it's like, you know, not super strong.
That's good to know, but yeah, one of the reasons I smoke is anxiety, but I guess because I am always up and like working and I have the kids.
You need that energy, right? I've noticed
not trying to be locked.
For me it's perfect when I have computer work. It's the computer work that like I just get so sucked in for like 2 hours. I don't even like pay attention to what I'm doing. So, well, I mean, you know what I mean. I'm so into it. I love it. I work so hard and it just flows. Kind of like emails become easier, and helps my anxiety of having to do phone calls too. Yeah. For sure. That's a big part of it.
Yeah, see, I used to work in call centers and stuff, so phone calls, things like that. But so with the Kandy Kush, I looked it up, and it's a hybrid. It's an indica dominant. It's a cross between OG Kush and Trainwreck. And I guess I was reading them, and like depending on how much of train wreck it has, it makes it like more of a candy.
Oh, okay.
You know, so they come out with the different names based on that. So I will see. It says that it can the effects can last up to like 2.5 hours. It's a heavy one.
Oh, that's a big deal for people who have like us who have high tolerance. Like you want the weed that's not gonna, because there's a flower that, you know, those joints you smoke, and 10 minutes later you're like, okay, well, was that worth it? No.
Yeah, you're all, do I have another one?
Yep.
Right? So, I mean, I'm definitely interested. It tastes really good. Smoking good. And it broke down very good. So,
I like ones so much better than joints because of how they smoke. Every joint I don't know if I just suck, but man, they always run.
And they
always
feel,
run.
resin.
And then I waste my weed and they burn too fast.
Do you know how to stop the run?
I try, but like I'm not good at it. Everyone's like, here, just try this. I'm like, okay, sure.
You're all, someday I'll get it right.
Okay.
But so, tell me, well, first of all, how old are you?
I am 24. I will be 25 next month, actually.
Oh, nice.
May 18th. Gonna party with the 420 Bus. Have you heard of them? 420 Ultimate
exciting,
Tours.
yes.
They're amazing. They were actually part of Pink Kush Network.
That's
they came
awesome.
to us. With.
So you're having a nice little soiree for your
Yeah,
birthday?
it's gonna be fun. I'm excited.
Quarter century, that's definitely awesome.
I can't think about it too much because, like, well, this is the first birthday that I've actually, like, truly felt like I could celebrate. Every birthday, I always would put myself down so much. I was so pessimistic. Like, haven't accomplished this. All of my friends graduated college a few years ago. Mm-hmm. And that was really hard for me because I was like, that's where I'm supposed to be doing. It's always comparing myself to people. This is the first birthday since 17 that I am proud of what I'm doing, that I'm happy with where I am, and that I feel like I have something to celebrate. And I think a lot of that was just coming to terms with, you know, how I view things and my mental health, and knowing that had such an impact on my pessimistic view.
Yeah, I struggle with that. I was brought up to see a lot of the negatives, and I didn't even realize it until I was an adult, and then looking back and being like, dang, that's why
your parents were very negative perspective? Okay.
Yeah, and I don't think it was on purpose. I think it's also just kind of how they were brought
up. Life makes people pessimistic, and...
Yeah. You know what I mean? And even now I'm always like, nah, that's not gonna happen, and then shit like this happens where you hit me up and I'm like, cool, we have this interview, let's make this happen, you know? So I've been trying a lot. That's something I've been working on the last year, where I'm like, okay, let's be positive, you know, at least that gets you there a little more. How did you come up with the idea for the Pink Kush Network?
So I've been working in the industry for about a year and a half now, and it started as just volunteering and freelancing, and I had the opportunity to work with a couple of different networks and to see, you know, I've always been an event planner. That's the thing. Like, we're talking since I was a kid. My birthday parties were like, I had a notebook of lists, seriously, since the age of 8. I loved planning parties, making my guest lists and my menus. Like, I have always been an event planner, right? Uh-huh. So when I joined the cannabis industry and I started seeing I wanted to be a wedding planner before this, but there's not a lot of money to be made in it. Yeah. So when I saw cannabis and events had a future, I was like, this is what I want to do. This is my 2 favorite passions combined. Like, I swear to God, it just sparked. Yeah. And so from there, I, was able to go see what does this industry need, and sort of fill in those blanks and create my own network. And the biggest thing that I knew was needed was a safe space for women, to connect and consume. That is exactly what Pink Kush is about. While we do have our smaller educational events, our quarterly big events, it's about getting together with your girls and just being a safe place to get high. We have tons of dab bars and everything, so we really treat our girls to a lot of medicine, and then we want them to feel comfortable that no one's going to judge them if they want to go take a few more dabs or if they want to get really baked with their girls. It's just such a safe environment, and we're really proud to uphold that. Yeah,
I think that's pretty awesome too, because that is something I've had a lot of people, even just launching the podcast, that have written me and been like,
I love that. Isn't that so validating?
Yeah, and it's so great because they're like, hearing your story like makes me feel better, because I smoke and it's something that I don't talk about, or it's something I'm kind of worried about. And I think how much it's changed, especially with it becoming legal in more areas, the perspectives from people have changed.
Like, oh my gosh, I know. Perspectives are changing fast.
I have a really serious job, and you wouldn't believe how many times I get emails every day about marijuana in the working industry. And, different laws and what we need to do exactly for it and stuff. And
it's like so important that we understand. And I'm guilty of this too, of not knowing all of the laws to keep myself safe and not fully understanding everything. But compliance is key. We really need to educate ourselves and be aware.
And that's something that I'm learning too, like exactly what you can or cannot do. A big thing for me, like, I have kids, so I always tell people, like, if you have kids, like, having your card is really crucial. it's important, you know, at least because, especially if you're medicating, you need to have a card to kind of cover yourself in case somebody comes up and is like, hey, you have kids, why are you medicating?
Yeah, absolutely. It's pretty... Because, you know, you can't say it's irresponsible to not have your card and have kids because it's so expensive in Arizona. You really can't blame someone for not being able to fork out $400 or whatever every year. I think it's down to $250 now, but I remember getting mine 2 years ago and I spent $375 and it hurt.
I mean, it helps a little bit if you have any kind of state aid. You get
and that's huge.
Which
but
is cool.
You know, not everyone has access to that, and
yeah, well, and then even that, I always see that little petition come around that's like, let's lower the thing, and I'm like, yeah, let's lower it.
Yeah, but they always throw hidden little things in there, and it's like sometimes that's the discouraging part. You know, you kind of like, is there any winning? Like, ugh, it's really frustrating.
What can I? Trust
I agree.
It's hard. So, how old were you when you first started smoking?
So, I think the first time I smoked, I was, like, 18, kind of, like, peer pressured into it, took one hit off a pipe, didn't inhale, and felt nothing, right? Okay, and then I was like, oh my god, I can't believe I did that, so much guilt. Did not touch it again until I was, like, almost 21.
Yeah.
And then... Yeah, I tried it.
Were you with friends, or...?
No, I was really looking for an out. I was looking for something. And this is before I really understood my mental health and had really dealt with it. And so I, was like, okay, all my friends are getting high, like, I'm going to try it. And I very quickly was like, oh my god, this is amazing. Every night I was, your tolerance is so low. Every night I was so stoned. And
when you first start smoking, it's so fun.
2 hits and I was like, god damn.
And I always talk about, I used to go through the little, like, okay, now I'm stoned, now I'm hungry, now I'm really stoned. And then I used to want to take a shower because I thought showers felt amazing.
They do. Okay, you're the first other person who has said that. I always say that showers feel so good when you're high.
I would go in like 30 minutes of my high just to be in the shower.
At this point, I don't even get munchies anymore. Like, it doesn't, the effects wear off and,
It's a different high.
Yeah.
Especially
this
when
tolerance
you're just
break
high.
is this is like the highest I've been in a long time because it was the longest tolerance break I've taken since I've started smoking.
I know, so you got to open up some
Candy
Kush and be like, let's do it.
Those dabs and some flour, yeah.
So when you were coming up with the Pink Kush Network, how did you start? What exactly did you do to like get
the first 2 steps were to create a team and to connect with vendors in the community. Because without vendors, this is not possible. And seriously, this is because of our vendors that we get to do this. They're willing to, be sponsors of these events. They're willing to donate to our swag bags and our VIP bags. So we reached out to them and started confirming that. And then I created a team of girls. Yeah. And it took off pretty fast from there. So
that makes me feel good because I feel like that's kind of the same thing that I've done with the podcast because I got a group of people to help me.
We have to help each other get somewhere in this. You can. I believe that it's so hard to do this alone in this industry. We have to help each other, and I've said it a million times. There's room for everyone at the top, and so we got to help each other get there.
And I've learned it's easier to have other perspectives, other opinions, other input.
And I learned, it was this past year that I learned that if I could not take the criticism and grow, I was not going to go anywhere.
Right.
There, you cannot be a leader of other people if you can't take criticism, if you can't change. Like, you cannot do it.
I feel the same, and like I feel so lucky already just in starting this, like with the amount of people that are willing to like, let's help, because my thing is like,
people are so
same
supportive.
With you, I don't want the stigma of smoking weed to be something that's all that people are focused on. Or like,
right.
Oh, you smoke weed, and then your conversation changes entirely. It should be like, well, yeah, that's,
medicinally, and here's why.
Right, and it's crazy, because, I drink wine too, but you hear about people drinking wine and stuff, and it's not a big deal.
It's not.
And it's like, well, I smoked a joint before I got ready for bed today, and people are like, wait.
Yeah, someone made the comparison of, like, if they dropped their kids off at someone's house, and the parent was having a glass of wine, it would be no big deal, but if they were smoking a blunt, you'd, like, freak out and be like, oh my god, my children are here, and you're doing drugs, and, like, it's a whole different thing,
Yeah, it's so weird.
It's just the lack of education.
So, what was your first event was this year?
So our first event was January 30th. It was our launch. This was a ladies only event. And it was an unexpected unexpected art gallery. It was in downtown Phoenix.
Oh, nice.
It was really, really cool. We had an amazing turnout. We had over 30 vendors there. It was awesome.
Was it hard to get it arranged or to get the spot?
It was not. No. I was really fortunate to have an online source of a community of people who were able to reference a bunch of cannabis friendly venues that we were able to use, and that's the hardest part, is finding venues. And as we look to expand, we're looking for venues. It proves to continue to be the hardest part.
That's something that I've been interested in. What exactly do they have to have a certain license, or what exactly?
No, they have to just be, well, maybe, I guess I don't want to speak too confidently. The best source you can go to is META to do legal cannabis events and make sure you're compliant in every way.
Yeah. And they kind of make sure, because I know that it has to be like so far away from, like, let's say schools,
so it just has
like
to be private
right?
property. So yeah, it has to be away from schools, but it has to be private property. I know that was the biggest factor, is that our venue owner owns that property. She's purchased it and she's given us permission to consume.
That's
and
awesome.
Then we're really strict about making sure that only medical patients get in. We have like a wristband and you do your photo ID and your medical card, and we take a picture and everything. So we're really careful about the venue helps us, but we're very, very careful about making sure that everything stays compliant in our events. They're we get asked frequently, and we are not an underground event whatsoever. There is no sale of cannabis. There is no selling of cannabis at our event.
Well, I like the idea of being able to have like a safe space too. Especially, I mean, I don't know. I feel it's so different now, being 31, than when I started smoking, because I was 20, so it's been 10 years, and it was very different. Like, even kind of coming to where I wanted to tell my parents, or you know what I mean. Where now I kind of feel like you can go get your card and be like, well, I'm a medical patient, and there's
absolutely
I can go to the store and buy weed. So
you see, like literally on my way to Tucson, there's a billboard for a dispensary with a giant nug on it, like just picture of weed. Like you can have that shit now. It's crazy.
Well, yeah, and when I went to the dispensary this morning, I mentioned that I was doing the interview with you, and they're like, yeah, we've heard of them, and you know what I mean.
Shut up. Okay, that continues to be like the most surreal thing. People are like, I'll walk into a dispensary and someone's wearing my shirt, and I'm just like, hi, I'm Jasmine. They're like, okay. But I'm so excited to see it.
You're like, that's
our t-shirt is being worn in a lot of dispensaries right now, and to have these big brands and big names supporting us, I mean, they believe in it. Thank you. Yes. We do have t-shirts available for sale right now. There's a link in our Instagram at Pink Kush Network.
Definitely.
They're for $20 right now.
Yeah, and I'll link you. I already put you.
Oh my gosh, I'll give you a code for a discount. I got you.
So, what made you decide on the color pink?
I really wanted to embrace the girliness. I feel like there's kind of a stigma against it as women. Women are taking over this industry, right? Mm-hmm. But we're all like, okay, we have to fit no. I think that we should be able to embrace that femininity.
Be really girly.
Be girly if we want to. And I know it's not for everyone, but for those who want to indulge in it, like, it's fun. It's really fun.
I told you in my draw, I was like, oh, it's pink, and that's my
favorite color. And you're immediately like, okay.
So, I guess you said that you reached out and kind of put yourself out there, but how did you present yourself when getting together your first event and trying to get vendors or?
Well, I communicated that we were looking to create a community for women, and that we were really looking to spoil them and make it a night of like pampering and just kind of indulging,
That's nice.
And everyone was more than willing to cooperate. We had so much donated. We had like 3 dab bars come out to our first event. We had like 7 at our last event. Like, people in this community, they want to donate. They want to help. They want to contribute. You just have to, seriously, the worst that they can say is no. Like, you should never ever hesitate to reach out. Yeah. Vendors are so willing to help the community. The vendors in Phoenix, at least, I see them accept every single event, even if they're not making money off of it. Like, they're willing to do it, so.
It's pretty cool, though, because you always get at least one person who's going to find your brand and completely like it. Who's going to be like,
so when you see a bunch of brands that are like, wow, we really like this and want to keep coming back, like, it's really, really, it's rewarding.
It's like really humbling for sure.
Yeah, it is.
Especially looking at everything. And then
it's also validating, because you have those times where you're not getting feedback and you're like, what the fuck am I doing? Is this right? Is everyone think I'm like a complete whack job? And then all of a sudden you do an event and you get the feedback and you're like, okay, no, people are about this. People understand what we're doing. They support it. On the right track.
I think it's pretty cool. So like years and years ago, obviously before I had a card, and around the same time that I first started smoking, there was MySpace, and there was definitely a group of girls, and they were called the 520 girls, And, that's our area code for Tucson.
Oh my god.
And what it was a bunch of stoners. It was just a
I
bunch of
love
girls
it.
that were like smoking and
I
pictures of
love
their
it.
bongs and stuff. And I was like, I guess that's kind of like the first official group of girls that I saw that was like out there. But at the same time, it was just
Like the original cannabis influencers, kind of.
Yeah,
Because that's just now becoming an official thing, being a cannabis influencer, like
And
making
there's
a living
something-
off of smoking weed on your Instagram. Like, it's an actual job now. It's
Yeah.
pretty crazy.
And it's kind of cool though, because you can find a lot of different types of people that are interested in what you're doing. If you're a woman, you got a lot of girls that are like,
Absolutely,
ooh.
yeah. We're able to appeal to different communities based on what we're promoting.
Yeah.
That's really cool.
Have you ever had like a negative effect with anything?
Yeah,
related?
the thing we get the most negative feedback about is not allowing men. We do have some people that approach it as, you're discriminating against men. But honestly, if you look at it, it's a few nights out of the year that we are asking to just be with us girls.
A ladies' night?
Yeah, it's really not... I don't think it's asking too much, And honestly, I think that the main reason that people are upset they can't attend is because of what Pink Kush is and the amount of vendors that show up. It's a cool event. People want to participate.
Right.
And so when they feel excluded, they get angry. And I understand it. I do. I totally get that. Like, you want to be part of it too. But on that note, we are doing our first co-ed event. We don't have a date confirmed, but our next big Pink Kush event, it is co-ed.
Nice. That's exciting. When you first had your dream about the Pink Kush Network, did you let your parents know?
Oh my gosh. I would not be here without them. They are the most supportive people in the entire world. Seriously, my parents are rock stars.
Yeah.
And their decision to support me, I literally dropped out of college to do this. Like,
oh, wow.
that takes some serious faith in your kid to think, okay, yeah, she's going to drop out of school and instead she's going to pursue a job in the cannabis industry. Like, that's not something.
Did they know that you smoked before that?
Yes, they did. My mom had, I live with my mom, and so this is not the kind of thing that you can hide when you smoke as much as I do. Now, luckily, when I did start smoking, she didn't know what weed smelled like, and so for the first, 2 weeks, I was smoking in the house, and she was walking around like, there is a freaking skunk in this neighborhood, like, I don't understand. She was getting so frustrated, and then she Googled it, and she came at me, she was like, are you smoking weed? So then I just started, smoking out on the patio every night. But,
Why didn't your mom know what weed smelled like?
Well, here's the thing is that she smoked it in high school, but she says that what weed was that must have been, late 80s, I guess? I don't know.
What it was and what it is now is nothing
She
alike.
said nothing. Absolutely nothing alike. So even though she had smoked on multiple occasions, she had never smelled weed like that.
That's so funny.
Occasionally I'll smoke something and she'll go, that's what it smelled like in high school. I'm like, okay. I don't know what that means.
That's funny because I was at a family gathering thing the other day and there were a bunch of magazines out. It was at a hotel and the magazines that were out were for weed, and 420 just passed when it was going on too. So he was like, if weed would have been if there would have been weed like this when I was younger, none of us would be here now. And I was like, maybe. But yeah, it's
new. Smoking like this is new.
And that's what I hear a lot of older people say is that the weed that we have now is so much better. Mm-hmm. And then obviously with shatter and wax, they didn't have that back then. It was we got some hash.
I know, it's crazy how the amounts and potencies that we can consume at the temperatures and at the rates we can consume them, it's whack. And there's some dangers to it. We're not necessarily sure how this plays out. We don't know what happens when you smoke, when you take hot temperature dabs every night for 30 years because there's not really anyone who's been doing that yet. But there could be some negative effects to it. We need
Smoking has a negative effect anyway, obviously.
Exactly.
Right? Putting anything into your lungs is going to be
people in this industry do not like to acknowledge the negatives or the cons of cannabis, but if we don't, we are putting ourselves at risk. It's really irresponsible to say that there's no such thing as too much cannabis.
Yeah, and there's definitely...
If you can have too much water, you can have too much melatonin, you can have too much cannabis, Right?
I think with anything.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So it's just anything in life, you have to kind of have
Absolutely.
a set idea. What do you think about or I guess in the industry, what is the biggest obstacle you've come across?
It's got to be the legality issues. I mean, there's so much that, we wish we could do that we can't, Imagine being able to just, have cannabis, being sold at events, That is the future, but we sure are far from it. So everything has to be contributed and donated, and it's patient to patient in order for it to be legal and only distributed by DAs.
Right.
So we have to be really, really careful. And I would say that is a little bit of an obstacle for us and reaching our potential, you know?
Right. It's definitely changing a lot.
It is.
I mean, just, it's evolving, is what I mean.
But then also, we look at getting recreationally legalized, and that's not necessarily the answer. I was just in Vegas, and I went to the Cannabis Wedding Expo and the Cannabis Awards, and there was no consumption allowed at either cannabis events. And I was like, I'm not even in a med state anymore. This is rec legal, and I can't smoke cannabis? Like... And then rec legal, you know, your prices go way up. It's not necessarily the immediate answer to events. Why didn't they allow it at those events? They had cops on site. Like, literally, when I got there, they were showing them around. So the government, they actually, I know for the Cannabis Wedding Expo, they had specifically gone to the city to get permission to display cannabis, and they were turned down. So they were only allowed to display hemp. Mm-hmm. When I got to the Cannabis Awards, they had about 8 cops walk in, and they were showing them everything. See, there's no cannabis here. See, we don't have anything happening here. So the city is, like, intense about it. It's crazy.
Yeah, I didn't realize there was such a block there, because I thought it was kind of more open.
So I almost feel like there's more obstacles in recreationally legal states. But then again, no, because LA and California, you can throw events a lot easier. Colorado, you can, but there's definitely places where you're going to have those obstacles. And so that's it. That's just really hard to do it here.
No, that's okay. I think it's pretty awesome what you're doing. Like I said, I Googled the event. I looked at the Instagram and, you know, was like, this seems like a really cool little group of women. And
it is. We have about 150 women at each event, so it's big enough that you're connecting with new people, but it's also not really, really overwhelming and you know, stressful.
Yeah, and it's like a mutual talk. Smoking.
Absolutely.
We all like that.
Absolutely.
You know, has this had any like negative effect on any of your relationships, whether friendships, personal?
I think professionally, yeah, there are always going to be. I learned this. I was listening to podcasts the other day that really emphasize this. You have to do you, because there are always going to be people who are unhappy with what you do. Right. There are always going to be people who are not happy with your success. I would have, you know, as I was telling you earlier, I would have never imagined that when I walked into this industry, because I was so happy-go-lucky and had faith in everybody. But I don't know. My motto is that when they go low, we go high.
Yeah, and I think it's good. It's always great to present yourself amazing no matter what, and you learn from people.
Absolutely.
And if they're not someone you want to partner with, you kind of just take it. You don't have to.
And you can still support them without partnering with them, you know?
Exactly. But you don't have to put them down in order to, you know, get what you want.
Absolutely.
I think that's a big thing, and I think that's what's cool, because a lot of times, especially with women don't really support each other very well, I feel, personally.
It's harder. Women struggle more, and that was the biggest lesson I learned when starting to lead this team of women. It's hard.
And it is, and I just think it's because, unfortunately, we're brought up in a mindset that you want to be better than the next, and I don't know where the hell that comes from, honestly.
We're also just emotional, and we're all, like, when it comes to putting a team together, everyone's so, you know, you bring on a bunch of boss babes, and so everyone's really, really passionate in their idea, and we're all strong-headed, and we all feel that same passion, you know?
Right, and it takes a moment where
it comes out of a good place, but it can create conflict.
Yeah, you have to step back and be like, okay, am I going to take this criticism? Am I going to use it? Is this not going to be something that is done again?
Absolutely.
Like, you know. What about edibles?
Edibles, okay. So we were talking about this earlier because you pulled out your Newtons. Yeah. But
I'm so excited to try all of those.
Yeah, so I've been a consumer for 2 years with an extremely high tolerance. And back in January, I was really, really struggling to get high. I just wanted to get stoned, and I was like, so I discovered distillate. I had never heard of it before, and I went to the dispensary, and my bud tender is all telling me about it. He's like, it's already activated. You can just put it straight in your tea or whatever. So, like, I had eaten really high dosage edibles before, and it's not like the trip that's bad. Like, I'm okay if I'm, you know, high, like, stoned out of my mind. That's totally okay. But, it was 500 milligrams of distillate. I put it in a capsule and I took it. And boy, it worked. I was so stoned. Oh my gosh, my eyes were bloodshot. I walked out and my mom was like, what the hell? I was like, I was just crying, and she was like, no, you weren't, you're stoned. I was like, finally. It was so nice. It was awesome. The next morning, at about noon, no, like I guess 10, it got really bad by noon, but at 10, I got really sick to my stomach. I had stomach pains that were so bad that I was like, okay, this is serious. I've never been to the hospital before this.
Yeah.
And I called my mom, and I was like, I've got to go to the emergency room. Something's wrong. So I went, and oh my gosh, if you do not like make them think you are dying, they do not hurry to get you back.
No,
I was in the hospital bathroom for about 2 hours, just puking my guts up. I did not know what was happening. I thought that I needed to get my gallbladder removed, or that I had appendicitis, or that something had to be removed because I was in so much pain. And after 2 hours, they finally got me back. They gave me morphine, they gave me fentanyl, and absolutely nothing was working. And the first doctor was just like, I don't know what to tell you. This is really weird. Okay, so I got a CAT scan. I got an ultrasound. I mean, the works. And I'm in agony this whole time at puking my guts out, which is super embarrassing because, like, there's nothing in your stomach, so it's nasty, okay? Like, it's just not this, it's an unpleasant scene. This is seriously it is the most pain I've ever experienced, truly. Nothing they had given me was working. I bet you I was on hour, 9 of this now. We've done all the tests and everything, and a new doctor comes in and says, do you smoke marijuana? And I was like, yes, I smoke a lot of it, but that has nothing to do with this. It's my I gotta get my gallbladder out. And he's like, okay, so this is probably something called cyclic vomiting. I was like, yeah, okay, whatever. And of course my parents are all like, I knew it, cannabis is bad. And I'm like, bullshit. But then he starts talking about it, and I was like, this is okay, alright, so this might be a thing. So it's officially called Cannabinoid Hyperemesis Syndrome, and it's very controversial right now. If you go on Snopes, Snopes tells you if something is true or false. It's marked as true. It's marked as Cannabinoid Hyperemesis Syndrome being completely a real thing. If you go read the comments, it is a bunch of us, from the community saying, no, this is bullshit, this is big pharma, they just don't want it to get legalized. And don't get me wrong, I see where you're coming from, because if you've been smoking for 20 years and you've never had this, then you're like, bullshit, what is this? But it's absolutely a real thing. So what confirmed this was that they gave me something called Haldol, which is a really strong antipsychotic.
Yeah.
And within 2 minutes, the pain stopped. After literally hours of agony, the pain stopped. And my third doctor comes to me and says, because this drug is what stopped your pain, we can confirm that this is CHS. And so I'm like, oh my God, what does this mean? I'm never going to smoke again. And she's like, girl, I'm not going to tell you to stop smoking. I'm like, you're not?
She's all, whatever you did, though, don't do that.
Yeah, exactly. So I believe that I am really, really fucking fortunate, because edibles are the only kind that affects me. I could smoke a gram of wax a day and be completely fine, smoke as much flower as I want. But when I was in Colorado in March, it had been 2 months since my attack, and I was on my way to the Cannabis Wedding Expo I was telling you about. I was originally supposed to go there, and I didn't make it. So instead of the edible being used for my display, I decided to eat it. Okay, 2 months after my attack. So my first attack was 500 milligrams. This was 50. I ate it. I got super high, slept really good, got on the road next morning to head home because I got snowed out of the expo. It was a big bummer. Hit New Mexico and started puking.
Oh.
And I was like, this is not happening. I am Farmington, New Mexico. Do you know where that is? The population has got to be like 200 people. Literally, I could not believe it. So I get to this $50 motel. I'm in the bathroom puking my guts up for, at least 2 more hours. Go to the ER, and sure enough, I'm like, hey, I'm having this episode, and I need Haldol. And sure enough, they gave me Haldol. It was gone within minutes. I was like, I can't believe this happened again. But once again, I was able to smoke. No problem.
Yeah.
I did have a third episode where I accidentally ingested something. It was about 2 weeks ago, and I did have to go to the ER.
Did you not know?
I did not know. It was a mocktail that had THC in it.
So crazy that you brought that up, because we put distillate in our barbecue sauce last night.
Oh my gosh, how was that?
Dinner. It was really good.
Hell yeah.
I slept really, really well. And then I woke up this morning and went to the dispensary and stuff. I felt okay. So it was good.
Good, okay, cool.
So I was like, and it's the first time I've ever tried it.
And I can dab distillate. I just can't ingest it. I cannot ingest any form of THC. So
well, that's good.
This has been a crazy learning experience. I've tried sharing sharing my story as much as I can, especially with my bud tenders, who honestly they often don't believe me. I've had quite a few of them say, no, it's probably food poisoning, or it was probably just like a bad edible. And that's pretty invalidating, because as a woman, like, you get your illnesses kind of invalidated anyways. Right. And so when you're sitting here like with this cry for help, like, I am in pain, or I was in pain, and I can help other people avoid this pain, you want to be heard. Yeah. So I mean, I knew that speaking out about this and sharing my CHS story, like, it's gonna come with hate, it's gonna come with shit, right?
But also that could make people that didn't know what was going on.
I have a responsibility to share this. Like, it is literally selfish for me not to tell people that this happened, and to share the story and to educate.
Be someone who hears it and is like, oh my god, that's what happens to
me
every
to be
time
clear, some people do have this from shatter, like just wax, we'll give that to them, but they can smoke flower and have edibles. There's a really, really famous case, a guy in New York who spent $100,000 on exploratory surgery because he did not know what was wrong with him, and the doctors did not know about this yet, and it was crazy. And if I can be the voice that keeps someone from having to go through something like that, then oh my god, I am here to help, no matter what the feedback is.
That's really, I'm good. I'm glad that we talked about
Absolutely.
that. Because I've had people that say, oh, I can't do edibles, they make me feel different. And that's definitely, that could be why.
And doesn't every single person that has taken an edible and had a bad trip? Like, everybody has had at least one bad trip, right? My mom won't smoke weed because she had a bad trip.
Some people are just and nothing. They don't have, like, the same...
Yes, especially people without gallbladders. They cannot get high off of edibles.
That's so crazy.
Isn't it? I'm like, how does that work?
So do you have anything coming up that you guys are putting together? Or?
The biggest thing we have coming up is that we are launching Pink Kush in Tucson and in Flagstaff.
Which is exciting.
It is super exciting since you're here in Tucson. So... Yes. We plan on coming to Tucson this summer, as we have an indoor venue, so we're looking for June, and then we will be launching in Flagstaff after school up there is back in session in September.
That's so exciting.
Is so exciting. This is crazy. And again, was literally an idea in November, and here we are. Like, I could have never imagined that people would be this supportive of it. So it's so cool that we're able to launch in these cities.
No, I think it's awesome, and like my biggest draw, especially like just talking to you, how much you want to be part of that empowering other women,
because I think our events, I mean, the way that people feel when they leave them, I'm just like, it makes me feel that way too. They leave empowered, and so then I feel empowered for having empowered them, and that is literally what we need to be about as women in this industry, but I love that. Another big thing is that our brand is very Instagram centered. That's really where our community is built, and so a comment that we get very often when people come to our events is, I got to meet all these Instagram friends. I got to finally meet all these people and connect in person, and that's really special that we get to do that.
It's awesome. So, Instagram is cool because you're looking at pictures.
But what's scary, and we have to remember that nothing is forever, and Instagram is not forever, We have to be prepared to, as our businesses grow, Instagram is the thing right now, but you need to be ready to take your brand to whatever platform is next. And I feel like I tell people that a lot, because it's so easy to get caught up in just this dream of what Instagram is right now, and just be prepared that you've got to have your brand steady enough to go with whatever. You have
to have a good backing. You have to have a lot of people that are interested in what you're doing.
Absolutely. And that's what's crazy, is that we've grown a community of, we're almost at 3,000 now in just a few months. Just people who love what we're doing and want to come to our events. It's so great. Cool.
I know, I was instantly super excited. Like, that's something I can back. That's something.
Absolutely.
I definitely.
We really are so proud of that, the standards that we uphold and what we stand for, and that's what makes women connect with us and want to reach out to us.
Yeah,
that's really cool.
I think this Kandy Kush was really good.
It was. I enjoyed it.
It is I can tell it's a super indica, but
not
enough for me to have to go pass out.
Have to take a nap.
Yeah, I feel good.
The last nap I took was hot.
I do feel a heavy body high.
Yeah, I do too. My eyes are insanely heavy right now, that's not common for me.
Yeah, that means it was really good. But I picked it up at the Bloom dispensary. Here in Tucson.
We have Bloom in Phoenix too. They were actually at our first event.
Oh, nice. Yeah, so they, really good. Flower looked really nice. Good crystals, orange hair. The eighth of this is only $25 typically, so that's not bad. you know.
I personally buy my flour in chunks now because I used to always buy like an eighth every couple of days. Now I always buy half ounces.
Nice.
We have a dispensary in Phoenix, Metro Meds. Have you ever been there?
No, I haven't.
Oh, they have awesome deals on their
go up and
ounces.
visit them.
I would recommend it because their ounce deal is better than their first time patient deal. That's how cheap they are. And it's good quality flour. Like, it's really good. So
nice.
if you come to Phoenix, we need a dispensary hop together. It'll be fun.
I need to save up my limit so I can go and get a bunch of different places.
Yes.
I do want to do that. Well, I definitely appreciate you coming on the show.
This was really fun. Thank you so much for having me.
I know. I was so glad when you reached out to me because I was like, oh, this is
when are you coming? Tonight.
I know. I was like, okay.
It works out well.
All right, let me see what I can do.
I know. And you got us some flour. We got some dabs. We even had some CBD. It was good.
Yes, definitely.
It was good.
So where can our listeners find you?
All right. So our biggest platform is Instagram. I encourage you to follow us at Pink Kush Network. We also do have a website that is updated. We keep it pretty updated. It's pinkkushnetwork.com. We will have our next announcement up soon. We're going to be announcing the confirmed dates for Tucson probably within, I'd bet, in the next 2 weeks.
That's exciting.
Well, by the time this is out, yeah.
I'll tell you. I'm on
That's
there.
exciting. Okay.
So.
Awesome.
And how about you personally? What's your Instagram?
Oh, you can find me on Instagram at the Canna Planner. Yes.
I'm on because I always put a little blurb of you on my website.
Oh yeah,
stuff,
so definitely follow me at the Canna Planner. I'm not the most active on my feed, but you can watch me daily on my stories and keep up with the adventures of running Pink Kush and being in the cannabis industry and being a daily consumer. Yeah, I try to share it as much as I can, and I also share a lot of my mental health on there. I'm very transparent about that, so
that's good.
Would love to connect with people about that too.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me.
Thanks, everybody. You have a great rest of your week.
Thanks again so much for tuning in to another episode of Kendra After Dark. Also, make sure that you're checking out Red Dragons Radio. Red Dragons Radio is a one-stop shop for some of the best podcasts on the internet, covering entertainment, TV, music, movies, wrestling, MMA, sports, and more. Red Dragons Radio is your one-stop shop for the podcasts you want to hear.